Hello, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Return from Beagle Point. Today's topic of discussion will be retirement, or lack thereof for many of us. But before we hop into that, I want to go through all of my standard intro stuff for all those of you who may be joining the channel and have no idea what this series is about. We left the bubble, headed out to Beagle Point, and we are currently on our way back. We still have quite a long ways to go. Let's go ahead, hop into the galaxy map. I haven't been remembering to do that. We started out. Wait, what the? Back up here. Okay, we started out in the bubble way back over here. Went through Sagittarius A star, the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy. Went out to Beagle Point. Now we're on our way back, trying to go all the way back to the bubble. The purpose of the journey has been to increase our exobiology rank up to the elite status, as well as hopefully make enough money to hopefully be able to buy a fleet carrier, take that out into the black with all of our ships, and maybe take a few people along for the ride if anybody wants to tag along. So we have a standard cycle of operations that we typically do. We hop into a new system. We will pop the discovery scanner once we get there, do a fuel scooping operation. Then after that, we'll hop into the full spectrum system scanner, check to see if there are any high value planets available. And for the purposes of this, I've decided that high-value planets are just Earth-like worlds, water worlds, and ammonia worlds. There's no fuel scooping here that we can do, so we'll go ahead and get far enough away from the star that we're not have to worry about that. Hop in the full spectrum system scanner. We're looking for, if you look at the bottom right of the screen, Earth-like worlds, ammonia worlds, and water worlds. There aren't any in this system. However, because there are less than 15 bodies in this system, we're going to go ahead and do a full-on individual scan of each body to see if there are any biological features. Now, around a star like this, I'm not really expecting to find anything, but with only 8 bodies, it's not that big of a deal. We'll go ahead, go around, take a peek around the system on the off chance that maybe something might be here, and then move on to the next system. And then, so one biological feature, I'm looking for at least 2, and preferably not an icy body, because the icy bodies won't have the Tectonicus that we really like to find. Why am I not able to remember the word? Stratum. Stratum Tectonicus. There we go. The stratum that we like to find. Stratum Tectonicus is a 90 million credit item if you can get first footfall, which way out here in the black you're almost always going to get. So anyways, like I said, the topic for today's discussion is retirement, and that's a very boring and dry topic. I do try to always, for the new viewers, I do try to have a topic of conversation to ramble on about while I do all of this, because jumping and scanning can get kind of boring. So, ideally it provides you with a little bit more to do than just sitting here watching me do this over and over again. So retirement. I was born at the end of the Generation X / beginning of the Millennial generation. So I am one of those people who grew up during the time in our country where it still felt like we were going to have the ability to do things the way that they used to be able to do it. But I'm at the tail end of all of that, and I didn't really take advantage of it when I had the opportunity to. So I have I kind of got the worst of all worlds. I got to see what things could be like, but then it got yanked away before I was able to really start to partake of it. Now, part of that's my fault. I didn't spend a lot of time. I didn't spend any money. Oh, wrong one. Trying to get that one. Yes, I didn't spend any money saving over the years. And part of me is glad that I didn't, and I know that sounds weird, but if you lived through the 2008 recession, and then later on, obviously during how am I going to say this without triggering the algorithm? The global event that made everybody's life suck. You know that a lot of people's savings and retirement plans got wiped out because of bad things that happened, bad decisions that were made by people who were investing the money that people put away. If you don't know how banks and retirement funds and all of that stuff works, the way that stuff makes money is they take the money that you put in there and they invest it, and the interest that they make off of those, or the profits that they make off of those investments, make money for the people doing the investment, and then obviously that helps your portfolio grow. So you make money off of it, they make money off of it, They tend to make a lot more money off of it than you do, but the point is that you're investing your money in this retirement fund, and then there are people who manage that retirement fund, take that money and invest it in things. And like every investment, there's a fair amount of risk associated with putting your money into something like that. And unfortunately, more than once in the past 20 years or so, everything fell flat on its face, and a lot of people ended up having to either not retire or come out of retirement to go back to work to have to so that they could make enough money to pay their bills, because the money they had in their retirement account got wiped out and they were screwed. And that's just kind of the way that it ended up working. Is this going to be a neutron star? Oh, okay. Guess we're gonna get ourselves.
Operating beyond safety limits. Frameshift drive supercharged.
Okay, I didn't really pay attention to if the next destination really required it, but we'll go ahead and get going on that. 237 light years, nice big jump. I can live with that. Okay, so yeah. And the reason that this popped up is that I was having a discussion with my wife, and she asked me a few days ago, what is our plan for retirement? What are we going to do to be able to retire? And I'm like, I've accepted the fact that I'm just going to have to work until I die. Unless I can come up with some kind of, business or something like that I can, keep alive until I keep alive to make money for me and my wife, build something that is sustainable for a very long period of time. I'm at the bottom end of the economic barrel, and I don't say that as a woe is me thing. It's a fact of life. I never did the things that I needed to do to climb the economic ladder because I wasn't willing to do those things. I wasn't willing to give up my life now for a potential future someday, and there's a pro and con to both sides of that story. There's a lot of people who spend their whole life busting their asses to save as much money as they can so that they can have this mythical retirement once they get old enough to retire, and then they're able to go and do things. And it's a reasonable, logical plan when you look at it that way, but then you also have to think about the fact that over the course of 30, 40, 50 years of working, what happens if you don't make it to retirement? And then you spent all that time saving and saving and saving, busting your ass, working 40, 50, 60 hour weeks, and then you have a heart attack when you're 55 and you don't ever get to retire, and then your whole life was spent working. So my thought process on the whole thing, as irresponsible as many people would think that it is that I don't want to work that hard. I really don't want to work that hard. I don't mind putting effort into things that are important to me, but money has never been, when I was younger it was, but the older I've gotten, money has never been something that I obsess about. I like to have as much as I can because it allows me to do some of the things that I would like to do with my life, but it's just not something that I don't care about those things enough to put the kind of effort required into making six-figure salaries and all of that. I mean, obviously inflation has pushed everything up to where a six-figure salary is probably all right. We need to look at our star map configuration because we're getting a lot of these non-fuel scoopable stars, and this is getting kind of annoying. So let's see what the next one is, and if it's yellow orange star. Okay. Yeah, we need to not have too many of these non-fuel scooping stars pop up because that's kind of annoying. But anyways, what was I saying? People of my generation and earlier are going to look at the life that I've chose to lead, and they're going to have some negative things to say about it. They're going to, obviously there's a laziness component to it where I really don't want to have to put that kind of effort into pretty much anything. But at the same time, it's also a, you gotta decide what's valuable to you. And for me, being able to spend my time the way I want to spend my time has always been the thing that is the most valuable thing to me. So, I have a hard time listening to people, especially people who spent their whole lives making decisions for everybody else in a way that was beneficial to them and screwed everybody else over. I subscribe to that particular theory. That's my personal opinion. How did we... I've never had this much of a problem. I used to be able to just sit in a star and not have an issue with it. I don't understand why all of a sudden we're overheating. So how many bodies do we have in this system? 21. We're going to keep moving. So yeah, my videos are very rambly, and if that bothers you, I apologize. It's just I try to talk about the game and the subject, and I end up going back and forth when interesting things happen. Excuse me. So I don't really have. I try not to give people like straight up, you should do this advice. I generally try to explain a concept and then give an example of how that concept is in my life, and then you kind of take that information and do with it what you will. As much as I would love to be able to have the feeling of security that there's a nest egg there waiting for me to retire so that I can when I get too old to really do serious work, I have something where I don't have to worry about it anymore. Just like it's an illusion to believe that being an employee is somehow safer than being an entrepreneur. That is a massive illusion that most of us live under. It's an illusion to believe that just because you saved a bunch of money that it's going to be there for you when it's time for you to do your retirement. And recent financial disasters have borne that out as a fact. There's no denying the fact that if your plan for trying to get through a retirement until you die is based off of any kind of item that has a value that is easily changeable, you have no security. There is no security in any of that. Now, I'm not sitting here telling you should be going out, I'm not a financial advisor. As somebody who's putting out content on YouTube, it's ridiculous that I have to say that, but I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice, mostly because I don't do it myself. But, if I was going to try to put some kind of long-term value into something, I personally would probably choose something like gold, which over the course of human history has always maintained a very high value. There's people that look down on physical goods like that because you're not going to get the interest off of it like you would with cash. But at the same time, you also don't have to worry about, all of a sudden gold is not valuable anymore. Well, no, gold's always valuable. It's always been valuable. It's always going, barring we find some kind of asteroid or something that just inundates our planet with gold, it's always going to be valuable. Or, any number of other precious minerals that, have a high amount of value and always will because they have intrinsic value that is either because it's beautiful like gold or has a high utility like platinum or, any number of other things that have a high value because of what they are, not just because we've all collectively agreed that, this has value. That's basically what currency is. It's especially the paper currency and the digital currency that we have nowadays. It's an agreement that we've made with each other that this little symbol here represents something else of value. And it's good that our economy works that way. It makes it much more convenient to transact with one another. But at the same time, once people lose confidence in that little trinket that we're using, you start to have some problems. So all I'm saying is that I've never it's kind of a dual thing. First and foremost, I've never been willing to sacrifice today for tomorrow, which a lot of people who are in the financial advice business will tell you that, you know, you have to do that. You have to be willing to sacrifice today so that you can have a better tomorrow. And, you know, yeah, I understand how that makes sense. But at the same time, if you never make it to that tomorrow, then you sacrificed today for nothing. So you don't get today and you don't get tomorrow. And my philosophy is, I got to pay attention on the next one. When you start getting below half a tank of fuel, I got to start paying attention to what kind of stars we're going to. I don't want to get stuck and then we have to call the fuel rats or something. I can't see giving up my today, knowing that, you know, there's a decent chance I might never get to tomorrow. Yeah, our lifespans are higher. Our lifespans are a lot higher, but, you know, we're seeing more and more how people and groups of people and all that stuff are going out of their way to make our lives harder because it makes their lives better. And, you know, in general, people don't care about whether or not they're trampling over you to get to the things that they want. And history has shown that that's something that will always, always continue. So, I would rather have a goal that I'm trying to reach and try to move towards that goal rather than just having some nebulous, hey, I want to be able to retire someday. And then, you know, these investment funds and these retirement funds and all this other stuff, they sound like a great idea, but you also have to keep in mind that these retirement funds have a vested interest in getting you to sign up for these retirement funds. So anybody who's trying to tell you that you need to invest in a retirement fund probably has a reason that they're telling you to do that. Now, I know financial advisors or any financial advisors who might be listening to this probably have a million reasons why they'll rip apart that argument, but, you know, at the same time, it's like, let's look at the past and see how many people got screwed over out of the retirement funds that they spent 20, 30 years, you know, putting their money into, and then they ended up having to work in their retirement anyway. It's hard to look at real world examples like that and then, you know, it's hard to look at real world examples like that and have anything to say other than you want to run that by me again. Like I have a hard time getting over that. I'm really glad, like, things when that stuff happened, the only thing I could say to myself is, man, I'm really glad I didn't save for retirement. I would be really screwed right now. All of that money I put away would be gone. So, obviously, I'm sure there are ways to get around some of the pitfalls and things that you can get into, but unless you know what those are and you have the ability to do that, that's just not something that's going to be available to you. There's a reason why rich people end up getting richer, and it's because they know how to do things, they know how to manipulate the system, they know the people that they need to know to get around this or that or the other thing, and that's why they're able to do the things that they do, because they've figured out the system and they've figured out how to move within that system in a way that benefits them. And the average person, yours truly included, doesn't know the first thing about, you know, any of that stuff. You know, just because you're older doesn't mean you learn more about the system. The system is designed in such a way that you're not intended to be able to figure it out without help, without somebody in that system bringing you into it and showing you the tricks. Trying to penetrate that from the outside without a guide to help you is virtually impossible, unless you're just some kind of like numbers genius, or you know, you just spend an inordinate amount of your life, you know, trying to figure it out. It's just one of those things. So yeah, 20 minutes of talking about how retirement, at least for me, is just something I've accepted is not going to be an option for me. So my hope and goal is to try to find something that I would rather I want to try to invest my time into hopefully building something that will carry me into the future, rather than just storing away nuts right now that will probably rot before I ever get to it. And that's kind of the way I look at the world right now. It's, you know, it's nice to think that the currency system that we have will remain stable indefinitely, but the reality is that every country in the entire history of the world has fallen at some point. And, you know, the United States isn't necessarily going to be there when it's time for me to retire. Like, there's a million different things that could happen. We're all at each other's throats. Everybody wants to fight each other. Nobody wants to agree on anything. Nobody wants to cooperate on anything. Nobody gives a crap about anybody but themselves. And, you know, when you reach that point in a society, you gotta start taking seriously the idea that it doesn't have much longer left. Now, does that mean that America's not going to be a thing in the next 20, 30 years? No, I don't think so. I think it's still got a while to go. But I mean, you look at all the different things that are happening, and it's just kind of hard to look at the future with any kind of real optimism. So that's my personal opinion. Take it or leave it. You're gonna do what you're gonna do, no matter what I say, because I'm nobody, and I don't have a magic 8-ball to tell you what's gonna work or what's not gonna work. So you just got to figure it out yourself. I just try to come up with interesting topics to provide you guys with a different perspective than maybe what you might be thinking. I live my life my way, you live your life your way, and whenever I talk about this stuff, I'm just giving you guys my perspective. So that's the end of that. Alright, so we're going to spend the rest of this time ideally looking for a fuel star to top off our tanks. I'm really hoping that the next system is going to be a yellow star. I really need to take a look at my setup for the fuel map. So what do we have here? Brown dwarf star. Okay, we really need to not have this continuing to go through that. So, okay. Toggle all of those. And I think M is what we're looking for. And apply filter to route. So I'm hoping that this is going to reroute us to a star that's going to let us. Yes, there we go. Cool. All right. I didn't realize I know what happened. Okay. A couple episodes, or in between a couple of episodes ago, I was having a really hard time plotting the next leg of my route because it was trying to take me through a sector of space that had a permit on it. And it just would not route me because I don't have the permit for that area. So I was sitting here trying to figure out what the problem was, and I basically said, well, maybe there's just no stars for me to go through this region, and I just need to turn on all the stars and accept that. And no, that wasn't what it was. There was a permit in the route that I was trying to go through, in the region of space I was trying to go through. Are we not? Oh, okay. I don't know why. I thought we weren't fuel scooping.
Warning. Temperature critical.
Yes, I know. Alright, we gotta get out of here.
Fuel scoop disengaged.
Okay. Does this have... How many bodies were in this? Oh, I didn't realize I hadn't popped the discovery scanner. Man, I was having all kinds of brain something. 5 bodies. And then that's not going to show me anything on here, right? So we have a rocky body. Okay.
System scan complete.
Is that a landable one? It is. Okay, so we'll just head over here and get ourselves landed. 1,800 light seconds. Not too shabby. We can make that work. So, yeah. As far as the topic of discussion for today, try not to take anything I say too seriously. Mostly, I just kind of ramble on. I try to be thoughtful about what I say, but at the same time, anytime you let yourself go down a rabbit hole, you're not necessarily always going to come up with the most coherent and logical thing to say. I mean, I try to do my best to, think about things as I'm saying them, but I'm also trying to fill up a half hour worth of conversation, a half hour of a one-sided conversation. So, my general thoughts on retirement are that, me personally, I didn't make the moves that I needed to make early enough in life to really have a decent chance of saving up enough in the first place. Obviously, people will try to tell you that it's never too late, but the reality of the situation is that, yeah, there is a point in your life where unless you are able to make significant amounts of money and then you take most of that money, and you take most of that money and save it away, you're not going to be able to accrue the kind of balance on your retirement fund that's going to make it possible for you to survive for the rest of your life. Especially as the lifespan of the average person increases and you start getting older and older and older. It's not feasible to retire at 65. You end up working into your 70s, and just banking on a retirement is just not something that seems feasible to me. Certainly possible I'm wrong. Maybe I'm probably wrong. I don't know. But my approach to life is that I'm not going to sacrifice everything today on the off chance that maybe I'll have something tomorrow. And, it's kind of one of those things where you got to take it while you have it. And that's the other side of it, is that I don't want to sacrifice my youth on the off chance that I'm going to have something in my old age, because then what? I'm too old to enjoy any of the things that I wanted to do. You forego going on adventures or whatever it is that you would like to do with your life. Like my sailing around the world thing that I want to do. There's a reason why I really want to try to figure that out now rather than waiting until a quote unquote retirement, because I'm gonna enjoy something like that much more while I have my youth and my health and the ability to actually do things than when I'm in my late 60s, early 70s, late 70s trying to do this stuff. And what am I doing? There's no biology on here. What am I doing? All right, we're just trying to land. So, and my wife and I more or less agree on that. We don't like the idea of, trying to save up money to go do that. We want to try to figure out a way to, that's why the mobile income thing is really important to us, is that we want to figure out a way so that we can work and travel at the same time, so that we can do it while we're young and while we can still really enjoy it. And then hopefully we can, by the time we're in our retirement age, we'll have figured out a way to, what am I doing? I'm so used to landing on biology planets that I forgot how I do this on regular planets. I like to land at the Terminator so that we can have a nice sunset or sunrise or whatever it is that you want to call it. So everybody's going to be different. There's going to be people who strongly disagree with everything that I've said. There's going to be people who can see the value in what I said, and ultimately it's up to you. You are an individual. No one else is exactly like you. You're going to have different priorities for what you want out of your life and what you think your life should be like, how you want to allocate your funds, and where that money is going to, obviously allocate your funds. You understand what I'm saying? You are you and I am me, and trying to convince someone else to see value in the way that you choose to live your life and the way you choose to spend your money and allocate your resources is probably one of the dumbest things that I've ever heard. If somebody comes to you asking for advice, that's one thing, but there's too many people out there who are so self-righteous and self-indulgent and self-whatever that they feel the need to come in and try to force their viewpoint on you. And it's like, I don't care. Your viewpoint, it means absolutely nothing to me, because your viewpoint applies to you, not to me. Leave me alone. And the only reason I present my viewpoints here on this is mostly just because I'm trying to provide some kind of something to supplement the relatively repetitive and boring gameplay as we go through this. I'm open to suggestions on other ways to make the content a little bit more interesting outside of recording longer videos and then having to edit them down. That's not something I'm willing to do in my current format of posting several videos a day. So hopefully you guys enjoy, to some extent, the topics of conversation that I put out there. I know some of you do. Some of you have specifically said that you appreciate the topics and that you find them engaging, and that's great. So I'm really happy to hear that. But I am also, trying to find ways to attract the most amount of attention, because I've made it very clear, I'm very honest with you guys, that YouTube is, I approach my YouTube channel as a business, and I'm trying to make decisions that are going to build my channel into something that is a career. I would love to make this a career if at all possible. I think most people would, but you got to figure out how to do that. Anyways, hopefully you guys had lots of fun. Be sure to click the like button if you did, so that the algorithm will know and send the video out to as many people as possible. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing so now, so that when the next video comes out, it will show up in your feed and you'll be able to watch it as soon as it becomes available. Channel members get early access to all of my content, so be sure to click the join button, check out the list of options available there, and decide if any of those are right for you. If you would like to support the channel but not with a membership, you can always leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. Direct contributions are greatly appreciated and a critical component to helping to turn this channel into a full-time gig, which is the dream. So again, thank you very much for your time. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Be sure to come back for the next one, and I'll see you then.